The stars looked different from the lunar outpost. Alan Rogers stood at the viewing window, hands clasped behind his back, watching Earth rise over the gray horizon. After 15 years in the diplomatic corps, he thought nothing could surprise him anymore. He was wrong. "They're entering orbit now, sir," said Commander Susan Miller. Her voice was steady, but Alan noticed how tightly she gripped her tablet. "The alien vessel is 4 times larger than our biggest ship." "And we're sure they can understand us?" Alan asked. Susan nodded. "The translation software is working. They've been picking up our broadcasts for years, apparently." The room fell, silent as the massive ship came into view. It was unlike anything humans had built, all sharp angles and dark metal with glowing purple lines running across its hull. First contact. Humanity had dreamed of this moment for centuries. "Ambassador Rogers, Commander Miller," said the communications officer. "They're requesting permission to send a shuttle to our dock." Alan took a deep breath. "Grant permission. Let's meet our new neighbors." The alien who stepped through the airlock was tall and thin with gray-blue skin that seemed to shimmer under the lights. 4 arms emerged from a torso covered in what looked like natural armor plates. Its head was narrow with 3 yellow eyes arranged in a triangle. "I am Krelthak, ambassador of the Vraxian Empire, voice of the Galactic Hegemony," it said, the translation coming through the speakers with only a slight delay. "I am here to evaluate your species." Alan stepped forward. "Welcome to Luna Base, Ambassador. I'm Alan Rogers, representing United Earth." Krelthak's upper eyes blinked independently of the lower one. "Your species is new to us. We have been watching your transmissions. Your technology is primitive. We're still growing," Susan said. Alan shot her a warning glance, but she continued. "Humans have only been in space for less than 200 years. The alien made a sound like stones, grinding together. Alan realized it was laughing. "The youngest member species of the hegemony had achieved faster than light travel before we discovered them," Krelthak said. "You have not even colonized your own system properly." "We value careful progress," Alan said carefully. "May I ask why the Galactic Hegemony has chosen to contact us now?" Krelthak moved around the room, examining the human equipment with what seemed like mild curiosity. "The hegemony grows. We bring order to chaos. Species join us, or—" The alien paused. "Or they are helped to understand the benefits of joining." "You're conquering the galaxy," Susan said flatly. "A crude term," Krelthak replied. "We prefer to think of it as inevitable progress. Strong species lead, weaker ones follow or perish." Alan stepped between them. "And how does the hegemony classify humanity?" The alien's 3 eyes focused on him. "Based on initial observations, you would be categorized as a non-threat species. No natural weapons, no significant armor, physically weaker than 87% of known sentient species." Krelthak gestured to a screen showing human biological data. "You would be offered protected status. Your resources would serve the greater good of the hegemony." "And if we decline this generous offer?" Susan asked. Krelthak's upper eyes narrowed. "That would be unwise, but the choice is yours, of course." Alan smiled diplomatically. "We appreciate your directness, Ambassador. Earth will need time to consider your proposal. Perhaps we could arrange a proper exchange of information while our leaders discuss this matter." The alien seemed surprised, then pleased. "Of course. Take all the time you need. The hegemony is patient with new species. Fear is natural at first." Later, after the alien had returned to its shuttle, Susan turned to Alan. "They think we're scared." Alan nodded, watching the alien ship through the window. "Let them think that. For now." "What happens when they realize we're not?" Susan asked. Alan didn't answer immediately. In the reflection of the glass, he could see Earth, beautiful and blue and so very vulnerable. "Let's hope we have a plan before that happens." 6 months had passed since first contact. The Europa Research Station was humanity's furthest outpost, a collection of domes and tunnels built into the icy moon's surface. 47 people called it home. Scientists, engineers, and support staff had been studying the subsurface ocean for signs of alien life. Now they were all dead. President Olivia Wright watched the footage again. The Vraxian warships had appeared without warning. There had been no demands, no ultimatum, just swift, precise destruction. The entire attack had taken less than 5 minutes. They're claiming territorial rights to the entire solar system, Jack Peterson said. The military strategist's face was grim as he pointed to the message that had arrived an hour after the attack. According to them, we should be grateful they're allowing us to keep Earth. Grateful? Dr. Kate Wilson's voice shook with rage. The xenobiologist slammed her fist on the table. They murdered our people. The emergency council room fell silent. Through the windows, Washington, D.C. sparkled in the evening light. Citizens going about their lives unaware that their future was being decided in this room. The Vraxians see this as a test, Jack said finally. They want to know if we'll fight back or submit. If we fight, we'll lose, Olivia said quietly. Their technology is centuries ahead of ours. Kate stood up. So we just surrender? Let those monsters take our system? No, Olivia said. We do. Something they won't expect. The president pressed a button, and a holographic display appeared above the table. It showed Earth and its colonies, but also something new: hidden facilities on Mars and the asteroid belt. This is Operation Long Game, she explained. For 6 months we've been preparing for this possibility. Jack leaned forward. The Vraxians think we're primitive because we don't have natural weapons or armor. They expect us to either attack head-on or surrender completely. But humans don't fight like other species, Kate realized. No, we don't, Olivia agreed. Throughout our history, we've survived by adaptation and endurance. When faced with stronger opponents, we don't win by overpowering them. We win by outlasting them. The hologram shifted to show schematics for ships and weapons unlike anything Earth had built before. These designs were developed in secret, Jack explained. While our official space program continued building conventional ships, these were being planned underground. The Vraxians are watching our official channels, Olivia added. They'll see exactly what we want them to see: a frightened species considering surrender. Kate studied the plans. How long will this take? Years, Jack admitted. 3, maybe 4 before we're ready. Years? Kate's eyes widened. They could destroy more outposts, take more lives. Olivia's face hardened. Yes, and we'll have to let them. Every human in the solar system needs to understand, we cannot show our hand too early. We get one chance at this. So we play weak, Jack said. We protest the attack on Europa, but ultimately appear to accept Vraxian control. Meanwhile, we learn everything we can about them, Olivia continued. Their technology, their culture, their weaknesses. We prepare, and when the time comes, we don't just fight them. We end the threat completely. Kate looked between them, then slowly nodded. The people won't like it, appearing to surrender after what they did. No, they won't, Olivia agreed. But history is full of examples of the patient hunter defeating the stronger prey. The Vraxians think they understand humans. They've classified us as non-threatening, compliant. That will be their mistake. Outside the window, the first stars appeared in the evening sky. Somewhere up there, the Vraxian fleet was celebrating their easy victory, unaware that they had just created their most dangerous enemy. Send the response, Olivia told her communications officer. Tell the Vraxian, Commander, we wish to discuss terms. The hunt had begun. 3 years passed. Commander Zexkar stood on the observation deck of his cruiser, watching Earth through the view screen. The blue planet turned slowly below, peaceful and seemingly tamed. Another report, Commander, said his aide, offering a data tablet. Zexkar scanned the information and made a satisfied clicking sound with his 4 mandibles. Excellent. Production quotas exceeded again. These humans are more useful than we expected. They are surprisingly adaptable, the aide agreed, though some find their appearance unsettling. Their soft skin and rounded features are certainly strange, Zexkar said. but what they lack in natural defenses they make up for in obedience. The Vraxian Empire now had bases on Earth's moon, Mars, and several asteroids. Humans worked in all of them, mining resources and building ships for their new masters. They complained sometimes, but always ultimately complied with orders. Zexkar had recommended to the Hegemony Council that humans be classified as compliant and unexceptional. What Zexkar couldn't see was what happened deep below the surface of Mars. In a hidden facility carved into the planet's bedrock, Ethan Murphy adjusted his protective goggles and gestured to the small device floating in the testing chamber. "Try it again," he told Nicole Garcia, who sat at the control panel. Nicole nodded and pressed a sequence of buttons. The device disappeared. "Still working," Ethan said excitedly. 15 minutes of perfect stealth capability. "The Vraxians won't be able to detect it at all?" asked the supervisor, watching from behind a glass wall. "Their sensors work on principles we've fully mapped," Nicole explained. "This stealth system creates a bubble that makes anything inside it invisible to those specific frequencies. Across the solar system, in a facility hidden inside a hollowed-out asteroid, Frank Collins watched as the railgun fired again. The projectile, barely larger than a pen, shot through 3 layers of metal that matched Vraxian hull specifications. "Time to impact?" asked his assistant. Frank checked the readings. 0.03 seconds from firing to penetration. That's nearly light speed. And power consumption? Lower than expected. We can fit twice as many shots per battery than we originally calculated. Meanwhile, on Earth, in a laboratory buried beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Lisa Johnson studied the captured Vraxian shield generator. For 3 years she had been taking it apart, learning its secrets, finding its weaknesses. "The modulation pattern is the key," she told her team. "Their shields cycle through 15 different frequencies. If we can track the pattern, we can time our weapons to hit at exactly the right microsecond." One of her assistants frowned. "But won't they detect our targeting systems?" Lisa smiled. "Not if we use Ethan's stealth technology." She pointed to a screen showing the latest transmission from Mars. "We're not building isolated weapons. We're building a complete system designed specifically to counter everything the Vraxians have." Every day, the humans presented a face of defeated acceptance to their alien overlords. They worked in Vraxian factories, served in Vraxian bases, and appeared to accept their place in the hegemony. And every day, through coded messages hidden in music, art, and seemingly random data bursts, they shared their secret discoveries. In 9, his private quarters, Commander Zexkar read the latest assessment from the hegemony xenopsychologists. Human species shows no concerning traits. Their lack of natural aggression and physical weakness makes them ideal for labor roles. Recommendation: expand human work programs throughout the hegemony. Zexkar approved the report and sent it to the High Command. It would be his last major transmission about humans. That night, as the commander slept, his personal human assistant, Sam Baker, carefully placed a tiny device under the Vraxian's desk. It would record every communication, every plan, and every secret that passed through the commander's quarters. The deception continued. The clock was ticking. Sam Baker polished the gleaming floor of the Vraxian flagship's command center for the 3rd time that day. None of the aliens paid any attention to him. That was exactly what he wanted. "Human," barked Sub-Commander Draz. "Clean this console again. Your fingerprints are disgusting." "Yes, sir. Right away, sir," Sam said, keeping his eyes down as he shuffled over with his cleaning supplies. As he wiped the console, his specially designed watch silently copied every bit of data flowing through the system. The Vraxians had brought thousands of humans to work as servants throughout their fleet. After all, why waste a warrior on menial tasks when you could use a weak species instead? Humans were perfect for cleaning, maintenance, and basic repairs. They were obedient, reasonably intelligent, and physically incapable of threatening a Vraxian, or so they thought. Across the massive ship in the diplomatic wing, Amy Chen served drinks to the visiting representatives of the galactic hegemony. 6 different alien species were present, all discussing the newest territories and resources acquired from human space. The blue planet has surprising quantities of rare elements, said Ambassador Krelthak to a short, furry alien from the Trescan Confederation. And the humans extract them efficiently. Amy kept her face blank as she refilled their glasses. Her translator earpiece caught every word, and the ornate pin on her uniform recorded everything. The aliens never suspected that their human servants understood far more than basic commands. That night, in her tiny sleeping pod, Amy encoded her recordings into what appeared to be a personal message to her family on Earth. The message passed easily through Vraxian sensors, who saw only a human female talking about her day and sending greetings to relatives. The real information, hidden in subtle variations of background noise and slight hand movements, contained complete schematics of the diplomatic wing and details of the hegemony's plans for the next phase of resource extraction from Earth. On Earth, these messages were received by the Resistance. Thousands of coded communications arrived, daily from human servants placed throughout the hegemony fleet. Piece by piece, they assembled a complete picture of Vraxian operations, technology, and weaknesses. The most valuable information came from William Martinez, a space miner assigned to a Vraxian outpost near Jupiter. While repairing a damaged section of the outpost, William discovered something unexpected about the Vraxian ships. Their reactor cooling systems can't handle rapid temperature changes, he explained in his coded message. When I was fixing the thermal regulator, I accidentally created a 30-degree temperature spike. The entire system went into emergency shutdown. The Vraxians were in a panic for hours. This discovery was immediately shared with Dr. Lisa Johnson and her team. Within days, they had designed a new weapon specifically targeting this weakness. But the greatest prize came from Amy Chen. During a high-level diplomatic function, she overheard the location that had been kept secret from all subjugated species, the coordinates of the Vraxian homeworld. They're not just planning to take our resources, Amy reported. They're planning to relocate 10 million humans to work camps on their colony worlds. The transfers begin next year. President Olivia Wright, now operating from a hidden command center beneath the Pacific Ocean, reviewed all the intelligence with her advisors. We have their ship designs, Jack Peterson said, pointing to the detailed schematics acquired over the past year. We have their communications protocols, their defense systems, and now we have the location of their homeworld. And they still have no idea? Olivia asked. None, confirmed Kate Wilson. Their latest psychological assessment still classifies humans as non-aggressive dependents. They believe we've accepted our place in their hierarchy. Olivia studied the star map showing the location of the Vraxian home system. It was further than any human ship had ever traveled, but that would soon change. Tell our people to continue gathering intelligence, she ordered. But now we begin. The next phase. It's time to build our response. In space, oblivious to the threat growing beneath them, the Vraxian fleet continued to expand their control, never suspecting that their every move was being watched, recorded, and analyzed by the simple servants they had dismissed as harmless. 5 years into the occupation, humanity had built a fleet unlike anything in the history of Earth. Hidden from Vraxian sensors by technologies that shouldn't have been possible with human science, the ships took shape in the shadow of Saturn. Captain Greg Davis walked through the main hangar of the assembly station, inspecting the nearly completed vessel. Unlike the gaudy, intimidating Vraxian warships with their sharp angles and visible weapons, the human ships were sleek and understated. They didn't look threatening. That was intentional. How's she coming along? Greg asked Chief Engineer Diane Foster, who was calibrating the main propulsion system. The Vengeance will be ready for her first test flight tomorrow, Diane said, patting the smooth hull. All systems are green. The stealth technology from Ethan's team is fully integrated. Greg nodded, impressed. The ship before him represented the combined efforts of thousands of engineers and scientists working in secret for years. Every aspect of its design was based on intelligence gathered about Vraxian weaknesses. And the special package? He asked, quietly. Diane smiled. William's discovery was the key. These missiles are specifically designed to target their cooling systems. One hit will cause a cascade failure in their reactor. We've run the simulations 100 times. Throughout the asteroid belt and in hidden facilities across the solar system, 20 more ships like the Vengeance were nearing completion. Each was built in segments and assembled away from prying eyes. Each carried enough firepower to destroy a Vraxian cruiser. Meanwhile, on Earth, the deception continued. In what the Vraxians believed were shipyards building tribute vessels for the hegemony, humans constructed ships that appeared identical to standard Vraxian designs, but inside these ships, hidden behind false panels and secret compartments, were weapons designed for a single purpose. The Vraxians expect a certain kind of warfare, Jack Peterson explained to the commanders gathered in the underground war room. They value glory in battle, head-to-head confrontations where the stronger force wins through superior firepower and numbers. That's not how humans fight, Admiral Richard Harris said. The weathered naval officer had been chosen to lead the fleet when the time came. We don't seek glory in battle. We seek to end threats with minimal risk to our people. Exactly, President Olivia Wright agreed. Every ship we've built is designed not for extended combat, but for a single devastating strike followed by immediate, tactical retreat. We hit them where it hurts most, then we're gone before they can respond. The gathered officers studied the Vraxian fleet deployments on the large holographic display. After 5 years of intelligence gathering, they knew the location of every Vraxian ship, every base, and every weakness. When do we strike? Admiral Harris asked. We're not quite ready, Olivia replied. Our fleet is at 80% completion. We need at least 90 before we can ensure success. The decision was made for them the next day. The Vraxian overseer, Thaxel, announced a new decree from his flagship in orbit above Earth. The hegemony requires additional resources. The oceans of Earth contain compounds essential to our expansion. Harvesting will begin immediately. What the overseer didn't mention was that the process would render Earth's oceans toxic to most life forms. The planet would become uninhabitable within a decade. As the announcement was broadcast worldwide, hidden sensors detected Vraxian harvesting ships approaching Earth's atmosphere. The time for waiting was over. In her command center, President Wright received the reports and made the decision that would change the course of human history. They've forced our hand, she said to her advisors. Send the signal. Operation Long Game ends today. Operation Finishing Move begins now. Throughout the solar system, hidden transmitters sent the activation code to every human agent and every concealed ship. On the Vraxian vessels, human servants who had played the part of obedient workers for years received the message they had been waiting for. Captain Greg Davis sat in the command chair of the Vengeance and opened a channel to the other ships in the hidden fleet. This is it, he said simply. The Vraxians thought they were facing a species of servants. It's time to show them what humans really are. The Vraxian overseer Thaxel stood proudly on the command deck of his flagship. Below him, Earth's blue ocean shimmered. Soon those waters would fuel the next phase of the hegemony's expansion. The harvesting ships are in position, Overseer, reported his second-in-command. Excellent, Thaxel said. Begin the ceremony. On his order, a fleet of what appeared to be human-built tribute ships began to assemble in Earth orbit. It was traditional for subjugated species to parade their offerings before any major hegemony operation. The humans had built these vessels under Vraxian supervision, and they were scheduled to be integrated into the hegemony fleet after the ceremony. The human leader wishes to speak before we begin harvesting, said the communications officer. Thaxel made a gesture of amused tolerance. Put her through. Let us hear her final pleas. President Olivia Wright's face appeared on the main screen. 5 years of occupation had added lines to her face, but her eyes were clear and focused. Overseer Thaxel, she said formally, on behalf of humanity, I wish to present our tribute. The Vraxian made a dismissive gesture. Your ships are noted. The ceremony is appreciated. Now stand aside as we begin our work. Olivia's expression didn't change. You misunderstand, Overseer. The ships are not our tribute. She paused, and for the first time, Thaxel felt a flicker of unease. Our tribute, she continued, is a lesson about humanity, that your empire should have learned before you attacked us. We are not warriors by nature. We are finishers." As the last word left her lips, the tribute ships simultaneously opened concealed weapon ports. Before the Vraxian command crew could react, precision strikes hit the flagship's main engines. "We are under attack," shouted the weapons officer. "The human vessels, they have technologies they shouldn't possess." Across the solar system, the hidden human fleet emerged from concealment. The Vengeance and its sister ships appeared as if from nowhere, their stealth systems rendering them invisible until the moment they fired. Captain Greg Davis watched as his targeting systems locked onto a Vraxian cruiser. "Fire," he said calmly. The specialized missiles struck the Vraxian vessel precisely where William Martinez had identified their cooling system vulnerability. Within seconds, the massive ship's engines overloaded, causing a chain reaction that ripped it apart. On Earth, human workers who had been repairing Vraxian equipment for years activated hidden sabotage protocols. Defense systems failed. Communications arrays went dark. Shield generators sputtered and died. In the asteroid belt, mining stations operated by the Vraxians suddenly found their human maintenance crews vanishing just as vital systems began to fail. The Vraxian response was chaotic. They had prepared for glorious battle against worthy opponents, not for a swift, coordinated strike targeting their specific weaknesses. Their combat doctrine had no contingency for an enemy that refused to engage in traditional warfare. Aboard his flagship, Overseer Thaxel watched in horror as the hegemony defense fleet disintegrated around him. The humans weren't fighting fairly. They weren't charging into battle to test their strength against the mighty Vraxian warriors. They were simply eliminating the threat. "Retreat," he ordered. "All ships, emergency jump to Rally Point Delta." The surviving Vraxian vessels attempted to flee. Many didn't make it. Those that did carried news that would shake the Empire to its core. The humans weren't merely fighting back. They were winning. Admiral Richard Harris watched from his command ship as the Vraxian fleet scattered. In traditional warfare, this would be the moment to celebrate victory. But humans didn't think that way. "Begin Phase 2, he ordered. "Track the survivors. We know where they're going." President Wright received the reports of the battle's outcome. 80% of the Vraxian fleet in the solar system had been destroyed. The rest were in full retreat. "They'll warn their homeworld," Jack Peterson said. "They'll prepare defenses." "Good," Olivia replied. "Let them prepare for the wrong kind of attack." Admiral Harris has his orders. The human fleet formed up, preparing to pursue the fleeing Vraxians. This wasn't about revenge. It wasn't about glory in battle. It was about making absolutely certain the threat to Earth would never return. The Vraxian High Council gathered in their grand chamber on the homeworld. Emergency alarms had been sounding for hours. The unthinkable had happened. A subjugated species had not only fought back, but had decimated the fleet stationed in their system. "How is this possible?" demanded High Commander Vraxtul, leader of the Empire's military. These humans were classified as non-threatening. Before anyone could answer, a new alert blared. The emergency communication system activated, showing the face of Overseer Thaxel. His image was distorted, transmission clearly coming from a damaged ship. "They followed us," he said, fear evident in his voice. "The humans tracked our jump signals. Their ships have capabilities we didn't know about. They're coming." The transmission cut off abruptly. In the silence that followed, one of the council members spoke. "We still have the defensive grid around. Our homeworld. No enemy has ever penetrated it. We're safe here." Outside the council chamber, citizens of the Vraxian Empire went about their daily lives, unaware of the danger approaching. Their civilization had stood for thousands of years, conquering hundreds of worlds. The idea that a species as physically weak as humans could threaten them seemed impossible. On the ceremonial moon of Vrax Prime, the sacred heart of the Empire, the Imperial Palace gleamed. For millennia, it had been the symbol of Vraxian power and authority. No enemy had ever set foot on its hallowed ground. Admiral Richard Harris stood on the bridge of his flagship, studying the tactical display. Thanks to the intelligence gathered by human servants over the years, they had complete schematics of the Vraxian home system defenses. "The homeworld is heavily protected," said his tactical officer. "But the ceremonial moon has fewer defenses. They never expected anyone to reach this far into their territory. And it's uninhabited?" Harris confirmed. "Yes, Admiral. The moon is considered sacred ground. Only the Emperor visits during special ceremonies. Currently, it's empty." Harris nodded. "Then that's our target. Using the stealth technology developed by Ethan Murphy and Nicole Garcia, the human fleet slipped past the outer sensor grid. The Vraxians, expecting a frontal assault in the tradition of honorable combat, had concentrated their remaining ships around the homeworld. They never saw the human vessels approaching the ceremonial moon. "All ships in position," reported Captain Greg Davis from the Vengeance. "Targeting systems locked on the coordinates provided by intelligence." "Proceed," ordered Admiral Harris. The human fleet fired simultaneously, not at the Vraxian ships, not at their homeworld, but at the sacred ceremonial moon with its imperial palace, the very heart of their cultural identity. The specialized weapons struck with impossible precision. Instead of randomly bombarding the surface, they hit in a perfectly calculated pattern. The moon began to crack along its equator, the fractures spreading outward like spider webs. In their council chamber, the Vraxian leaders watched in horror as their sacred moon split in two. The imperial palace, standing for thousands of years, crumbled into dust between the separating halves. It was at that moment that all hegemony communication channels received a transmission. On screens across thousands of worlds, Communications Officer Maria Lee's face appeared. "Attention Vraxian Empire and all members of the Galactic Hegemony," she said calmly. "This message is from Earth. The moon we just destroyed was uninhabited. We confirmed this before attacking. Humanity does not target civilians." She paused, letting her words sink in. "But make no mistake, our next target will not be empty. We do not seek to conquer. We do not want your territories or resources. We want only one thing: to end threats to our world. You have a single option: permanent withdrawal from Earth space and a binding treaty guaranteeing our independence." The transmission showed the human fleet, weapons still ready. "You classified us as non-threatening," Maria continued. "That was your mistake. Humans aren't warriors by nature. We're finishers. When threatened, we don't fight for glory. We eliminate the threat completely. You have 6 hours to respond." The transmission ended, leaving the Vraxian Empire facing something they had never encountered in their long history of conquest. An ultimatum they couldn't ignore. 1 year later, the neutral space station Harmony orbited a distant star on the border between what was now recognized as human space and the territories of the Galactic Hegemony. Inside its central chamber, representatives from 17 species gathered around a large circular table. The Vraxian delegate sat quietly, a shadow of the arrogance his kind once displayed. The splitting of their sacred moon had sent shockwaves through their empire. For the first time in thousands of years, the Vraxians were not the dominant voice in the hegemony. Other species, long subjugated and silenced, now spoke openly. Many had watched in awe as humans accomplished what none had dared to attempt. They had forced the mighty Vraxian Empire to retreat. Dr. Paul Johnson led the human delegation. The former physicist had helped design some of the weapons that had won the war, but today he came as a peacemaker. "The treaty before us today represents a new beginning," he said, addressing the gathered delegates. "Humanity does not seek dominion over others. We ask only for recognition of our sovereignty and the right to explore the stars without fear." The Trescan representative, a small furry being with large eyes, spoke next. "The Vraxians told us humans were weak, that you had no natural weapons or defenses, yet you defeated their fleet in a single day." Paul nodded. "There's something all of you should understand about humans. We're not natural warriors. We don't have claws or armor. We're not the strongest or the fastest. Throughout our history, we've had to rely on our minds rather than our bodies." He paused, looking around the table at the variety of alien forms. Some had natural armor, others had claws or venom. All had evolved on worlds where physical strength determined survival. But when threatened, Paul continued, humans commit totally to ending the conflict. We don't fight for glory or territory. We fight to eliminate threats permanently. We don't seek enemies, but we don't leave threats active. The room was silent as the delegates considered his words. Your species is dangerous, said the Vraxian delegate finally. Only to those who threaten us, Paul replied calmly. To our friends and allies, we offer the same determination and ingenuity that won our freedom. Several delegates nodded in approval. Many had already approached Earth privately, seeking alliances and technology exchanges. The balance of power in the galaxy was shifting. The treaty is fair, announced the Xerillian mediator, a crystalline being who had been neutral in the conflict. The humans claim only their home system and nearby uninhabited stars. They seek trade, not conquest. One by one, the delegates pressed their marks or symbols to the document. When the Vraxian finally added his seal, a subtle tension left the room. It was done. Humanity had secured its place among the stars. Later, as the delegates mingled at the reception, Dr. Johnson found himself approached by representatives from 3 previously subjugated worlds. We watched how you defeated the Empire, said one, a tall insectoid being. Not through superior numbers or strength, but through patience, intelligence, and precise action. We would like to learn from humans, added another. Not how to build weapons, but how to think as you do. Paul smiled. Earth would welcome visitors and cultural exchanges. We have much to learn from each other. As the reception continued, Paul stepped away to a viewing window. Beyond the station, the stars spread out like diamonds on black velvet. Once humans had looked at those stars with fear, knowing that threats lurked among them. Now they looked up with hope. Earth was already changing. The knowledge gained from alien technology had led to medical breakthroughs and environmental restoration. Ships were being redesigned for exploration rather than war. Yet in hidden facilities, engineers continued to improve their defenses and weapons. The lesson of the Vraxians would not be forgotten. Humanity had won its freedom not through negotiation or appeals to mercy, but through absolute readiness to end any threat. The stars had learned an important truth. Humans weren't warriors. By nature, they were finishers by necessity.